what this webinar is going to be about is the ArtWalk projects that I've been doing for people with disabilities and their families and caregivers out here in LA. So I'll just walk through briefly, what exactly the ArtWalk is for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, why I started doing it, what problems I think that they help to solve, why it's important for you to do it, and then lastly at the end, how you can host one and get involved. So that's what I'll be going through step by step here, and at the end there'll be a chance for you to ask questions if you have any. Hopefully I will have answered all the questions you could ever possibly have. But if you do have some, then feel free to use the Q&A feature for you to ask some questions, and that way I can see it at the end. So the ArtWalk is a project that I started at the Hatchery here in LA. And the idea is to try to create a community or a place for community, specifically for people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, and their families and caregivers. Now, this is important to me because my brother is severely intellectually disabled. He has cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, and the relationship that I have with him and taking care of him over the years has profoundly shaped the way that I look at the world and interact with people in the world. And it's always broken my heart to see how people in the community, in our community back home, and the church community specifically have never really been able to deeply engage with him. He's always sort of been an outsider, and people like him too. And that's always really bothered me. And I believe that once we get to know people like my brother and really welcome them into our lives, their lives are changed for the better, and our lives are changed for the better. So this whole project is based on that foundation, that getting to know people with disabilities is a profoundly life-changing experience for everyone involved. And I think that in order for us to make any sort of real change in our communities, we need to start with those people who are ignored and excluded. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So before we can really address the issue, I'm specifically talking about maybe a church community, which is that the church community hasn't traditionally done a very good job of including or welcoming people with disabilities into their congregation. Other parts of the community, that is absolutely true as well. I'm focusing on the church community right now. And I believe that before we can really address these issues, they need to be made aware. Most people in churches don't realize that people with disabilities face unique challenges and problems because they're just not visible. They're not there. And so before you can address the awareness problem, I think you need to address the visibility problem. So before we can help the problems, help solve the problems that people with disabilities have, we need to be seeing them and see their problems and hear their problems. And that's really what the ArtWalk addresses in my mind. So just a quick statistic here that in the last census, 2010, about 56 million people said that they had a disability, and that's probably underreported. But that's roughly about 1 in 5 people. And when you look around in your community, whether it's at the coffee shop, at the movies, or at church, or any of the library, any kind of community gathering, whether it's a city hall meeting or something like that, I would be surprised if 1 in 5 people that were present had a disability. They're just not visible. They're just not around. And the ArtWalk is my attempt to solve that problem, to make them more visible. Now, I also have some theological reasons for why I think that this is important. I'll just briefly say this. If you want more information about this, then I'll give you some info on my blog and things where I talk at length about this. But I personally believe that we can never truly and fully be the church and to embrace our calling to be the church until we are the church of the least of these, the church of the last, not the first. And I think historically we have always been the church of the first. And we've always served those people who have power and their interests. And until we help those people who are oppressed and marginalized and ignored, then we can never fully be the church. So that's just a little overview, of what the problem is, and where I'm coming at when I talk about the art walk. So the art walk, I believe, is a solution to this problem because it makes visible those people who we've rendered invisible in society. People like my brother, even when they're out in public, whether at a park or maybe the mall or a store or something like that, are still pretty invisible. People are afraid to interact. People are afraid to see them. People are afraid to communicate with them anyway. There's a lot of fear, and I understand that. So I'm not here to judge those reactions. But what I am trying to do is come up with a way, a non-confrontational, non-threatening way for people to interact with people with disabilities in a way that they otherwise wouldn't have. So the art walk, I think, is the way to do this, because what ends up happening is you have people with disabilities presenting their artwork, presenting things that they've created from their perspective to people without disabilities. And so not only are the people without disabilities who look at the photographs at the gallery, I'll talk more about the setup later, when they come and interact with them, they're seeing not only the thing that they have created, but they're seeing the creators themselves. So it's not that I'm just seeing the painting, but I'm seeing the artist as well. And I think that this is a powerful experience for most people because, like I said, many people, non-disabled people in the community, have never had interactions with people with disabilities. And I think that this is the way to really begin some of these conversations. So the art walk, is a wonderful tool. I mean, it involves art and community, storytelling. I mean, these are all wonderful ways to engage the community and people with disabilities. Plus, it puts the people with disabilities in control as artists, creative agents, something that they're often denied. And I can just speak from personal experience, having taken care of my brother. He has very little control and makes very few decisions about what happens in his life. I mean, he's not capable of doing that, and many people aren't. And even the ones who are, they still do not have the power and control over their own lives. So in some small way, I feel like the art walk is a place, an opportunity for them to exert their agency in the world, to be creative, to share their perspective, to share their love of whatever it is that they're doing. And that's a powerful experience. And hopefully you'll see that it's very easy to do too. And the end result is that I want a lot of these art walks to happen all over the place, all over the country if possible. And it's a very easy thing to do, and it's a very impactful experience for everyone involved. So what is involved? I've kind of got 5 steps here, breaking it down to explain exactly how the art walk takes place. The 5 things that you need for an art walk are: you need a location, you need coordination, you need participation, you need to process the art, and then you need a gallery. So each one of those in point I'll talk about. The location. The first art walk that I held was at a local park here, and I've held some at museums. I've held at downtown, like neighborhoods, the beach. We had one at just a neighborhood, just a normal sort of suburban neighborhood. There are a lot of different places where you can go, and I'm sure everyone watching, listening, has a favorite spot that they like to go to in the community, or that one that would be very easy to walk around and take pictures. But that's the important thing about it, is that it needs to be easily accessible, and it has to be photogenic in some sense, or to give the opportunity to be photogenic. The next thing to think about is coordination. So I'm thinking here volunteers and just communication to those volunteers. So you need to be able to find people who are interested in helping. This is not something that you're most likely going to be able to do alone, but you only need a few people to pull it off. It's not like you need an army of volunteers to do this. The first one I did, I think I had 5 volunteers total and 5 participants total. And it was a huge success, and everyone loved it, and it was great, and it was fun. But it is really important that you find people early on who are passionate about this, who want to help. For the first one I did, I got a photographer to come and help, professional photographer to come and help. That is, I'm sure everyone knows someone like that they can connect with. So that utilizing the relationships that you already have to make this possible is the best way to do it. Now, participation is the third component here, and that is finding people who are willing to participate in it. And this can be tricky if you're not already connected. When I moved out here to LA, I was connected with a large community. That's L'Arche. It's French for the Arc. They're an international group that it's a residential community for people with and people without disabilities. So they live together in community and just kind of do life together. And I was connected with a community out here, and we talked about doing one of these. Everyone was really excited. So luckily, I was able to do it that way. But if you are in a church setting or some other community setting like that, I would be surprised if there was someone within your community or your group of friends or group of people that you know and spend time with that don't have a family member, a friend, someone they know that has a disability. So there are all of these connections here already that exist that we can utilize that we often overlook. Going back to the earlier statistic, 1 in 5 people have a disability. That means that, excuse me, we are more than likely already connected to a bunch of people who have disabilities, and we just don't even know it yet. So asking questions of the people that you already know and already connected with is a great way to start to find the people who are interested in doing this. Depending on your area where you live, your community, there may be group homes where you could try to reach out and connect. You can go to agencies to be able to do that. Whether county or state agencies are a great resource for this as well. There's a lot of resources out there to find people with disabilities who are willing and able to do this sort of thing. So it just takes a little bit of effort, but not very much, maybe 5 minutes on Google, and you're good to go. The next one is processing. So after the actual art walk itself, which is where the people with disabilities go out, take pictures of whatever it is that they love and see in the setting wherever the location is you've chosen. Where the first one I did was in the park. There's a beautiful tree, flower, animal, whatever it is. They are taking pictures of what they see in the world and what they find beautiful in it. And then at the end, you need to do something with those pictures. And so this processing step is an important step, because it's when you collect all the pictures from everyone and you sort of whittle them down into a smaller chunk, because oftentimes there's a ton of pictures you have to sift through. So this can take a little bit of time and a little bit of coordination, but if you set it up beforehand, it can be pretty easy to do. So then once you've got the pictures selected, what I have done in the past is I have, again, a photographer friend that I talk to, and we get actually the pictures blown up pretty large. We get some matting, and we make them look really nice. You can do as little or as much as you want with this step. It's really up to you. But the important thing is that you need to, choose which pictures you're going to show, or even better, allow the artist, the people with disabilities who took the pictures, to decide which ones they want shown. And then the last step is the culmination of all this work, and is, I think, the most important part and the unique aspect of the art walk, which is the gallery. Sometimes I call it the pop-up gallery. The first one we did was just a short little pop-up gallery, coffee shop nearby. We asked them, hey, can we use the space? They're like, yeah, this sounds wonderful. Set up some easels. We had all the photographs there. We had all the artists come. And then everyone who just came into the coffee shop just walked around, looked at the pictures, talked to the artists, talked to the people, and it was wonderful. I mean, we were there for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and we had a great time. And I think that gallery component where you can display the artwork and have the artist, the person with the disability who took the picture, there present is the essence of the art walk. So that when someone from the community, maybe someone who goes to that coffee shop all the time, meets someone new, but not just someone new, but someone that they've never seen before, someone who has never really been seen in that way. And I think that that's where the meat of this project is in that pop-up gallery. So that element is essential. And it can happen anywhere, really. I've had it at some coffee shops in in my neighborhood because that's sort of the local watering hole. But I know that there are a lot of community centers or other art galleries or other resources and spaces available where you can hold these sorts of things. That's not really too difficult. And I know that a lot of churches have space too, and that is also something that I've done before is work with a church, and we had the gallery in the church itself. So, there are a lot of resources out there, and I'm sure that as I'm mentioning this, you can think of at least one or two places in your neighborhood where something like that would be really cool to see. So I think that the important thing to remember is that this is an easy thing to do. It's very, very, very easy to do. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, it may sound complicated, but I've actually done this, worked out an outline that has very detailed information on step-by-step what needs to happen. So I've done sort of all the hard work for you. I just want more and more people to be able to do this in their community. So I've tried to take all the difficulty out of it for you. But like I said, this is easy for you to do in whatever community you live in. And I don't think that anyone else is going to do this. Those of you who are listening to this or watching this right now, you are the people that need to sort of take charge and start these projects in your community, because I waited around for a long time for something like this to happen, and no one was doing it. So finally, I had to step up and be the one to do it. And I think that that's the only way that we're ever going to really make any change or anything like that. So if you do want to host one, which I hope that you do, and you should, because it's easy and they're fun. This is let me just tell you exactly what I will provide for you if you want to host one, because like I said, I've done the hard stuff, and I want to make it as easy for you as possible. So like I said, I'll give you the detailed outline. I mean, step by step by step by step. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? You need to remember this. You need to do this. You need to send out stuff then. Very detailed. You'll get that. I will work with you throughout the process. We can have Skype calls. We can have phone calls, emails back and forth. I'll work with you to make sure that everything gets taken care of. I will also make you a bunch of social media content to share. Really easy stuff. Pre-made tweets, pictures for Instagram, Facebook posts, email, copy, all ready for you to go. So that way you can just click send, and it'll go out to everyone you know, and you don't have to worry about any of that. And then I think the most fun thing is after the event, I want to capture your story and take the pictures and put them up on my website. And I really want that to be sort of a place where everyone who has hosted an art walk can come and share their experiences with each other. And then new people could come and see, oh, wow, that was really easy. That was really fun. This person in this city did it here, and they did it over here. And so, I'm hoping that kind of becomes a hub where everyone can share ideas and come up with new things. So that will also be available to you as well. Highlight your story in your city and everything like that. So if you want to, I'm going to put this in the chat, but I'll also say it for people who are watching this video on the replay, where you can go if you are interested in hosting one. There you go. I put it in the chat there. It's differentunited.com/host. Really easy to remember. Different United, differentunited.com/host. And I'll make sure that that's pretty easy for you to find as well. So I think there's one question here. Let me see. Portland would be a great place to do it. Portland would be great. That's a great city. I know a bunch of people in Portland, and I'm glad to see that you guys are working to bring more awareness and visibility to these issues. That's wonderful. But yeah, Portland would be a fantastic city to do this in. Any city can do this. Oh, here we go. We got a question about the cameras. That's a good question. Okay, so Angela asks about if they use their own cameras, do we provide them? So this is probably the hardest thing to coordinate. But the solution that I've come up with, and again, feel free to do whatever works best for you. But I have all of the volunteers as a term of their volunteering, donate temporarily their cell phone. So I just, I've got my iPhone here. Most of us have an iPhone or a Android or something like that. You'd be surprised at the quality of the pictures that are on those that those cameras take. So the volunteers will actually work buddy with someone, work one-on-one with them, and just use their cell phone, their camera, to take the pictures. Now, I mentioned before, the first time I did this, I had a photographer help. He brought some equipment that people were able to use and kind of work with them. But the simplest, easiest solution is to find people who are willing to volunteer and to just ask them to pull out their cell phone, to just take pictures with their cell phone. We've had a number of people do this, not with smartphones, but with just regular camera phones. It was like a flip phone. And it's not, the quality isn't as good, but it worked and it got the job done. So I don't think that there needs to be a lot of stress about this aspect of it, but that's what we've done in the past. That's what I continue to do, and it seems to work really well. Like I said, the photos turn out really, really great. The quality is excellent. So that's how I solve that problem there. But utilize the relationships you have. If you know people who are photographers or have equipment like that, I'm sure that they'd be willing to do something like that, or to come along and help, to help take pictures, or if nothing else, to just capture you taking pictures. I think that's another important thing to remember, is to get someone to capture the activity itself, so that we have some sort of documentation of that. That's a great thing too. So if there are no other questions, I'm just going to remind you one more time that website address. It's differentunited.com/host, and if you sign up there, then I'll follow up with you about getting started and helping to get one started in your neighborhood. One more question real quick. You have people register if they want to attend the ArtWalk. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Usually, let me back up. When the first few times I did this, I worked with a specific community, a group home. So I already had confirmation from them that they were going to participate. So there wasn't a need to try to get numbers or register, sign up, something like that. In your specific situation, and we can talk about this one-on-one later, what the best approach would be, or plan of attack is. But I think that making sure that whatever community you're working with is committed to doing it is important. But registering, totally up to you. Now, for the gallery showing, we didn't have anybody register for that. We put flyers up. I promoted it on social media, all that stuff. And we just sort of utilized the natural traffic of the coffee shop or the community center. So I didn't have any registration for that. But I mean, this is also a great way to fundraise for the group home or a nonprofit or something like that. So if you wanted to have someone register, maybe pay $5 for a ticket or something like that for the gallery showing, that's totally up to you in your specific situation, what those needs are. I think I answered that one already. So if there are no other questions, and you guys, always send me an email, reach out on Facebook, Twitter, and if you have any more questions, I'm here to help. I want to make this, as easy as possible for you. And like I said, I think that it's people like us taking small steps to do something meaningful for people who have been ignored and underserved for too long that will really make a big difference. So I look forward to working with you in the future, and I know that we can get a bunch of these started, and I think the more people get on board and see how easy it is, we can get some momentum with this. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll make sure to send an email follow up with this, so you can listen to the video again and share it. If you have friends, family members, other people who would be interested in hosting something like this, please reach out to them, send them this video or my information or something like that, and hopefully we can get something started. Thank you guys very much.